Here are some common mistakes to avoid when selling your first home. This is Gus Larrea here. I'm a real estate agent out here in New York, specifically in Long Island. And, I see a lot of people making a lot of mistakes when they're selling their homes. And we're actually going to get into a little bit of that today. So let's get started. So one of the biggest things that I see people make mistakes on all the time when they're selling their home is overpricing their house. Now, when they're overpricing the house, generally they're thinking their house is just worth a lot more than it actually is. This is one of the reasons you want to make sure that you get some comps. You want to do comps on the area. This is actually something that you can do by yourself, but it's a lot easier when you have a real estate agent do that. Now, what are comps? Comps are comparables. You want to look at the houses that sold in the area in the last month or so. You want to see what they're selling for, what they were priced at, things of that such. And that's going to help you determine where your house is going to possibly sell at. Your house is going to sell on a couple of different things, and that's going to be location, condition, as well as price. And these are all things that you need to consider when actually pricing your home. When you price it too high because you think your house is worth more than it actually is, a lot of times it'll sit on the market. So what I always generally tend to do is I let everybody know. I said, listen, we can sell it at this price that you want, which would be the higher price. But if it doesn't move within 2 weeks, I would suggest dropping the price and selling it at a more reasonable price where it'll be more enticing to the buyer. The second mistake that I see sellers making is that they neglect a lot of repairs on their house. So again, if it's like little things, then, you could sell the house as is, or if you don't intend on fixing anything in the house and you're selling as is, you need to price it as is, just like that. So one of the things you need to do is price it in a certain way where it'll be more appealing as a fixer-upper. A lot of times, there'll be a hole in the roof, big major issues such as the furnace, things like that, and they'll try to keep it from people. And this is a big mistake because, then, you're breaking trust with the community. So if you want your house to move quick, you have to make sure that the relevant issues and any major issues with the house are addressed, and that you are telling this to the consumer or fixing it. Now, no one says that you have to actually fix everything. You could sell the house as is. You want to really sell it for a decent price. If it's not going to break the bank too much, I would suggest fixing any major issues so that the house is more desirable to the consumer. So with that being said, we're going to go into number 3, which is neglecting the house's appearance. I see this happen all the time. Now, sometimes you'll go into a house and it's really, really messy. Well, guess what? When people go into the house, they're not going to want to stay too long and look at the rest of the house if you got garbage everywhere. So one of the things I like to do is I tell everybody, listen, I'll clean the house, or, you have a cleaning lady come in. That's, little things that can, boost up the level of your house. If there's paint chipping, anything like that, you could scrape that away, put some fresh coat of paint. Or if you don't want to do anything at all, just know that the house is going to sit for a significantly longer amount of time. So remember that a clean home will give the consumer the impression that the home was well maintained. And that's really the reason that you want to fix little things like that. So one of the other things that I see people making mistakes on is that they're not disclosing things that may have happened in the past. Where I am in Long Beach, during Hurricane Sandy, a lot of the houses were flooded over here. So, something major like that has to be disclosed to the consumer. Any type of, major construction, you want to make sure that you are being fully transparent in everything that has been done to the house. Now, occasionally, you may not know what's been done maybe it wasn't disclosed to you, but anything that you do know, you definitely want to pass on to the consumer. And this, helps build trust, and, obviously, will be, a determining factor going down the line. It's not something that you want to, be in contract and you're about to go to closing and then, hey, this popped up on the title, down the line. So, I mean, it's just one of those things that you want to make sure that you disclose to the consumer. So home inspections, that is one that I see people, skipping all the time. When I have sellers, again, when they're selling their home, a lot of times, we'll get buyers that will, pass it, they'll waive inspection, they'll put in all cash, and then things will come up later that'll bite us in the butt, and it'll be, pandemonium. So I always suggest that, we do an inspection, that the buyers are happy, gives them peace of mind on the house that they're looking at. And, it gives everybody a better way to kind of move forward, with the full transparency. If you're selling a house, it's very different if you're selling it and you're living in it versus that you're selling a vacant property. If you're selling a vacant property, one of the things I always suggest is that we stage the property. Reason for this is that it looks like it's lived in. People have terrible imaginations. People's minds work at nanoseconds at this point. So, when they see a staged home, it sells a lot quicker statistically. People do not have to use their imaginations. They can see what the house looks like. And again, it'll sell a lot quicker and faster. Failing to stage a home can make the home less appealing to potential buyers and reduce its market value. So one of the mistakes that I see people make constantly, is that they're failing to consider the timing of the market. Again, the things that you have to consider when selling your house is season, the time of the year, obviously, the local market value, and the economy. So, these are all things to definitely consider. Now, before we go on, I'd just like to thank everybody because this is my first video, and I would greatly appreciate it if you smash that like and subscribe button. It definitely helps me on the algorithm, and obviously helps support the channel a little bit as I want to keep doing more of these videos. So, on to the next one. This next one annoys the hell out of me, like 24/7, and that is not being flexible with the showings. A quick story, my brother had a listing where he basically could not get the house sold because the lady would only show it one time a week, and literally like, maybe an hour during that day. Obviously, if you want to sell your house, people, you have to be flexible with the showings. Now, with, people working from home, I know that can become annoying and difficult, but you have to set up times every single day where, these are designated times. I usually say, at least have 3 or 4 hours that you can show the home each day. This way we get as many people through the door and as many eyeballs on the place as possible. Because obviously, listen, man, if you're not showing the home is not going to sell. All right. So if you're really, really serious about selling your home, that's one of the things you got to do. You got to show the home. The more you show the home, the faster it's going to sell. So the last thing that I see people make all the time is that they're going to do for sale by owners, which basically means is that they're going to try to sell the home themselves. Now, here's the thing about selling the house yourself. Though you're being penny wise and dollar foolish. Because basically what happens is that you're going to get a limited amount of eyeballs on that house. And while, you'll sit there and negotiate and you could do, what you think is a better job than the actual real estate agent, the bottom line is that you don't have the network they do. You don't have the resources that they do in order to get as many eyeballs on your property as possible. And you end up leaving thousands and thousands of dollars on the table. So, again, one of the things I always tell everybody is hire a real estate agent. Now, if you are in the New York area and you're looking to move to Long Island, there ain't no better agent than me. So feel free to give me a call, 917-747-8113.